Good morning, everyone. I hope you've all put the clocks forward. Otherwise, you're very early to the class. Liv's just about getting ready to start and get on the mat. So if you want to prepare yourself, and we'll begin in a second. And as usual, there is a link to PayPal. If you enjoy the class, feel free to make a donation at the end. Have a good one.
Good morning, everybody. I don't know if you saw in the little description, but today's class is a hips and hamstrings, mainly hamstrings class. If you have a yoga block, great, but I know most of us don't. So it's not essential, but it's helpful if you struggle with the length of your hamstrings. If you don't have a block, you could use, let's say, a chunky book or anything really, just to bring the floor a little bit closer to you in some of the poses. Our half splits, our half moon poses, things that we're going to come to. Don't worry if you don't have one, we'll make do. But we can leave that to one side to begin with. So we will start in a comfortable cross-legged seat. As always, allowing ourselves a moment to settle here. So allow yourself to feel nice and grounded through your sit bones, finding some lightness in your upper body. So feel your chest floating up and away from your hips. Then letting your hands rest either into your lap or onto your legs as you close your eyes, and just allow your body to become still. Taking a few moments just to settle here, finding softness across the shoulders as they draw down away from the ears, softness across the face as you relax across the forehead. And then just bringing your attention to your breathing. At first, just watching your natural rhythm and pace of breath coming in and out of the body. Noticing the soft rise and fall of your chest. And then starting to make that breath a little bit deeper, a little bit stronger, so you're elongating your breath in. Just let it last a moment longer. And then matching that on the exhale, allowing the body to soften as you breathe out. Again, as you're breathing in, feel that extra space within your body. And as you're breathing out, allow yourself to calm. As always, just take a little moment to remind yourself to try to stay connected to your breathing as you move. And if you find that you've lost it at any point, just a little reminder to restart or taking a rest so that you can reconnect. And then with a nice deep breath, let your arms circle wide. Reach your hands to the sky. Send your gaze up towards your hands. Turn the palms to face forwards. On your exhale, let your hands come to rest onto the mat in front of you. Your chin to fall towards your chest so the back of the body is nice and long. So starting in this cross-legged fold, which obviously takes our hamstrings out of the equation, but is opening into our hips. But what we often forget here is we're also lengthening into our lower back. And lengthen the lower back is something we often forget about when trying to lengthen our hamstrings. It's all connected, it all helps. So see if you can focus your attention into your lower back now. As you breathe in, feel like you're pulling your ribs away from your hips to lower that section, lengthen, and then exhale. Keep allowing yourself to fold, thinking of forwards and then down. Your sit bones staying firmly glued to the floor. And focusing on keeping that breath long and strong, allowing your body to soften as you breathe out. And then one more, breathing in, look forwards towards your hands. And then breathing out, let those hands walk off towards the right side of your mat. So your chest is coming towards your right knee, and you should feel an extra stretch in the left side of your torso. And you can make that stretch more by taking your left hand and holding onto your right hand. See if you can focus the breath into that right side of the body. So as you breathe in, you can feel your ribs growing apart from one another. And your exhale to keep yourself sinking towards this right leg. One more, breathing in. And then breathing out to go all the way back via the centre and straight over to the other side. Hands to go towards the left. Right hand option to hold the left hand, to deepen, to intensify that stretch. Just an option. You can stay with your hands separate if you prefer. And then one last time, breathe in. And then breathing out. Walk yourself back to the center and then sitting yourself all the way upright and taking your legs out in front of you. So have the knees and the toes pointing towards the sky, the legs pretty much together, but widen them if you need to be able to do that. Flex your toes back towards you and tighten into the quads onto the front of the thighs, so much so that your heels may even start to float. Sitting your chest as tall as you can, taking your hands alongside your pelvis, press down into your hands to try and help you sit as tall as you can. So staff pose, you're aiming for a big capital L shape, stacking your chest right on top of your hips. So depending on how tight the back of the legs are, that might mean trying to push your body weight a little bit more forwards. If you're back here, think of pushing your chest that little bit more forwards. Those that are upright on top of their pelvis, think of growing tall whilst keeping that engagement in your legs. Quads are working hard. We're breathing in, growing longer. Breathing out, holding steady. It's a lot harder in the legs than it looks, so if your quads are starting to ache, you're doing it right. Another breath in. And then releasing as you breathe out. Just simply cross your ankles in front of you and either roll over your knees or turn your legs around. So you're coming into tabletop. Shoulders to stack above the wrists. Hips to stack above the knees. Engage the muscles of the core to start working through the abs there. On your next breath in, ribs dip down to the mat, lift your chest, look forwards. As you breathe out, rounding the spine, hollowing out the front of the body as you push your spine to the sky. Same again, breathing in, ribs go down, sit bones push to the sky, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Exhale to round, firm push into the hands as you broaden the shoulder blades across your back. Great, breathe in again, scooping the chest forwards. Breathing out to round, to hollow out the belly. One last time here, breathing in. And breathing out. Great, bring yourself back to a neutral spine. Keeping your gaze between your hands. Step your knees just a little further back away from your wrists before we come into down dog, and then tucking those toes under behind you. Lift the knees, lift the hips, and press your thighs towards the back of the room as you come into that upside down V shape. And it's early and they're hamstrings, so they're probably feeling tight. So give those legs a little pedal out. Trying to do it mindfully so that as you deeply bend one knee, the other heel pushes down, and as it pushes down, you're really finding a stretch in the back of that leg and maybe just pausing there so you can really focus on finding that length. Keeping attention into your upper body as well, pressing into the hands, shift the chest back towards the thighs, and then allow yourself to become still. Keep that soft little bend into your knees so you can really lift the sit bones high to the sky. The more that you can lift those sit bones, the more that you're going to find this into your hamstrings. Heels stay nice and heavy down towards the mat. 2 more breaths. Inhale. And exhale. Last one. Inhale. And exhale. And then widening your knees as you place them down towards the edges of the mat. The big toes to come to touch behind you, sinking your bum towards your heels. Slide your hands a little further away from you if you have the space. We're coming into child's pose. Forehead to rest towards the mat. And allow your hips to feel nice and heavy down towards your bum. As your chest feels nice and heavy, sinking down towards the mat beneath you. Really use the hands against the mat to press down, to keep heaviness through the hips. You're making a little bit more of a hip opener here. And then last one, inhale. As you exhale, roll yourself back via the tabletop, tuck the toes, knees back to the sky and into downward facing dog. So this time from here, as you inhale, lifting your right leg towards the sky for a three-legged dog, and we're going to hold here. Remembering we're trying to focus on a hamstring stretch here, so we're focusing on our supporting leg, our left leg. The higher we can lift that right leg, the more we're going to be stretching into the left, but keep that left heel pushing down towards the floor. Reach through those top right toes and find as much length in the back of that left leg as you can. Hold into the sky, breathe in. And then as you breathe out, draw the knee under the body. Option to do a knee to no tap, and then placing the foot between the hands at the top of the mat into a nice long lunge. Your hands are going to stay onto the mat, lift your chest, look forwards. And you can stay stationary here, sinking into the lunge, or sometimes it feels nice just to find some movement, some forwards and backwards rocks, maybe some small circles with your pelvis. Just allowing your hips to move into this shape. But again, if stationary feels nice for you, you can stay still. Think of that back heel pushing away from you, squeezing into your left glutes, and thinking of compressing your torso towards this front right thigh. Great, breathe in. And then as you breathe out, stepping the foot as softly and silently as you can back to the back of the mat, into your down dog, and then straight onto the left. Inhale, lift the left leg tall. Toes to try and touch the ceiling, and then that right heel stays nice and heavy, pushing towards the floor. Reach those toes towards the sky. Imagine you're doing a full split, sort of imagine it. You're really pulling that leg towards the sky. You're pushing your heel towards the mat. Breathe in. And then breathing out, option to tap your knee and nose together, and then placing your foot between your hands at the top of the mat. Your hands to stay down either side of the foot, and again, either staying as you are, thinking of chest pulling forwards, or finding that movement again. Some rocks, some wiggles. There's no right or wrong way to do it. You're just finding some movement that feels like it's releasing into your hip. Trying to maintain the length in the spine, so the chest is forwards, the gaze is forwards to help the spine stay long. And we're sinking the hips low towards the mat. Final one here, breathing in. And then breathing out. Step that foot back, lift the hips back into the sky, and find your down dog. Great. Inhale, looking forwards to the top of the mat. On the exhale, walking our feet in to meet the hands at the top of the mat. Keeping your hands down as long as you can. Challenge those hamstrings. Wiggle your way in. And once you're there, let your feet come a little more narrow, maybe even all the way together. The knees to stay bent, so the belly and thigh rest towards each other. And taking a ragdoll fold, making sure you have your balance if your feet are together. Your head to dangle freely in front of your legs. Your hips are pushing high to the sky, and keeping a softness across the neck and the shoulders so the upper body is staying nice and relaxed as the lower body is doing a lot of work. Keep thinking of engaging your core to help your upper body compress towards your thighs. That compression helps us lengthen both the hamstrings and the lower back. And then from there, taking your hands to your shins as you inhale, halfway rise. You're aiming for a flat to long spine. If you can see your reflection somewhere, you'll be able to tell if you've found that nice long spine. Keep the shoulders away from your ears. As you exhale, refold so the knees can bend as the hands touch the floor and the head dangles. One more time. Inhale, halfway rise. Squeeze your quads, lengthen your chest forwards, lengthen out the whole torso. And as you exhale, forward fold. Great. This time, inhale all the way up to stand, taking your arms to the sky, gaze up towards them, ribs are in, tailbone is tucked. And then exhale, release your hands alongside your body as you find yourself standing tall at the top of the mat. Allow your shoulders to lightly roll back so you feel broad across your chest. And just take a few breaths, standing tall, rounding down into the feet and firming up through the legs. So we're going to take a couple of variations of sun salutes, vinyasas. If you know a more advanced version, Please feel free to go ahead with chaturangas and up dogs. I'm going to be guiding us through my favourite version. So inhale, arms are going to reach high to the sky, gazing up. Exhale, forward fold, fingertips to the mat, push your hips high to the sky as your head dangles in front of your legs. Inhale, halfway rise, chest forwards, thighs press back. Exhale, hands to the floor, feet step to the back of the mat, into plank, keep that tailbone tucked under, breathe in. As we breathe out, the knees drop down, the weight shifts forwards, elbows stay close to your ribs as you come all the way down onto the mat, belly and chest hit at the same time. Inhale, floating your chest, look forwards, float the hands as well so you're using all the muscles in the lower back to lift. And then place your hands back down, roll your body weight back, hips into the sky, and to come back into downward facing dog. 2 breaths here. Inhale, lengthen the sit bones high. Exhale, heavy through the heels. 1 more, breathing in. And breathing out. Then with your right leg, as you inhale, lift it to the sky, 3-legged dog. On the exhale, that foot's coming between the hands. Again, always the option for knee and nose to tap together. This time, dropping your back knee down to the floor. This is where you may want to use a block. We're shifting back into a half split. Back hip is on top of the back knee. The front toes are pulling away from the mat. And our fingertips are either resting to the floor for balance or onto the block if the floor is feeling too far away. We want to be able to keep length in the lower back and the rest of the spine. So if the floor is too far away and it's causing us to round, we're better positioned to have something to rest our hands onto. You can keep your knee bent, but most importantly, we're drawing the toes up towards the sky and give that heel a push down into the mat. You're really going to feel that a little bit extra into that right hamstring. Each time you breathe in, think of the chest pulling forwards. Breathing out, compress your belly towards the thigh. Think of your sit bones pushing out to the back of your mat. Inhale. And exhale. Last one, breathing in. And then as you breathe out, rock your body weight back forwards to the top of the mat. Back foot is going to step in to meet the front foot. Use your inhale, halfway rise, long through the torso. Exhale to fold, belly to thighs, head dangles in front of the shins. Inhale, coming all the way up to stand. Reach the arms tall alongside your ears. Exhale, forward fold, hinging at the hips as you dive forwards and down. Inhale, lengthening the chest, press the thighs out backwards. Exhale, hands to the floor, feet step back into plank, heels push away from you, shoulder blades stay broad. Inhale. Exhale, dropping the knees, shift the weight towards the fingertips, slowly lower the chest towards the floor, keeping that tailbone tucked so your core stays engaged. Use your inhale, float the chest and the hands, press down through the pelvis. Exhale, rolling your way back, tuck the toes behind you, lift the hips to the sky and come into your downward facing dog. Breathing in. Breathing out. 1 more, breathing in. And breathing out. Left leg this time, inhale to the sky, 3-legged dog. Exhale, option, knee to nose, little tap, and then placing the foot between the hands. Drop your back knee to the floor, shift your hips backwards. Option to have that block with you again, to have somewhere to balance your fingertips, lengthening your chest towards the front of the room and your sit bones to push towards the back. So you're really pulling the crown of your head in the opposite direction to your sit bones. Toes flex back towards the shin, breathe in. Heel pushes down against the mat, breathe out. One more here, breathing in. And then breathing out, rock yourself back to the top of the mat. Back foot steps in, meets the front foot. Use your inhale, halfway rise, lengthen the chest forwards. And your exhale to forward fold, hands to touch the floor. Inhale, coming all the way up to stand. Reach the arms high, gaze up towards them. And as you exhale, release your hands alongside your body, standing yourself back tall at the top of the mat. You're going to turn towards the right side, or you're at home, you can turn whichever way suits you, depending on which way you're looking. It's habit to say to the right. Stepping your feet wide, so you're coming into a wide-legged stance. Your feet to be about as wide apart as one of your legs. So it's different for everybody. Toes to turn slightly inwards, so the edges of your feet match the edges of your mat. And then as you inhale, take your arms wide into a nice big star shape. Think of your chest lifting towards the sky. As you exhale, let that chest go forwards as your sit bones push backwards. The fingertips come to rest to the floor, or again, use your block if the floor is too far away for you at this point. With your fingertips resting somewhere, use the inhale to be like a halfway rise. So your chest is lengthening forwards, the sit bones are pushing backwards, and you're finding as much length in your spine and your chest as you can. Holding here for a couple of breaths. Seeing if you can engage the muscles on the front of your thighs. Lift your kneecaps up towards your hips to allow your hamstrings the ability to lengthen. Good, one more, breathing in and breathing out. Great, and then leave your right hand down onto the floor or that block. Use an inhale, the left arm is going to rise to the sky, turning your chest and your gaze towards that top hand, so a big rotation through the spine. You can either leave your hand in the sky as it is here, or maybe drape it over your lower back and see if you can hook those fingertips around your right thigh into a half bind. Either way, that left shoulder is rolling back. Push your right hand down against the floor with the block and push it towards your right to help your body twist. Hold here as you breathe in. And then breathing out. Undo your bind. Let your hand come back to the floor. Take a soft bend into your knees, so your legs are now a little bit springier. Hands to come to your waist, and as you inhale, rise all the way back up to stand. So your left foot, you're going to turn back to face towards the front, I guess, of your mat, so that now both of your feet are on the same line. So if you're on a tightrope, both feet would be on it. Front heel and back arch are on the same line. Take your arms wide, palms face down, arms out alongside the shoulders, and see if you can squeeze hold of your quad, lift your kneecap, and keep hold of it as long as you can. Try not to forget. We're then going to surf the body forwards as if we're trying to tap the front wall. Find length in both sides of your torso, hips push back. And then don't allow your torso to move any further. Your left hand to rest down onto your leg wherever it finds, and the right arm to rise to the sky. Where you have the options is if you have your block, your hand can rest to your block instead. Or if you've got some super long hamstrings on you, maybe the floor is there. But what we don't want to do is to round our spine to force our body towards the mat. We want to keep the chest rolling towards the sky and a nice long line through the sides of the torso. Triangle pose. Think of rolling your top right hip slightly backwards, keeping that stretch into the top side of that part of your hip, and finding a nice rotation as we're breathing here. Good, last one, breathing in. Now as you breathe out, take your gaze down towards your front foot and let your hand come onto your waist to give yourself a little bit of chance for the balance here. We're going to transition into half moon. Option to bring the block with you. We're going to lift our back leg away from the floor as this left arm reaches forwards beyond the mat. Float the back leg away from the floor. Turn the hips to face the right side of your mat as your right arm can then reach towards the sky. So in our half moon, we're trying to keep everything facing the side. So the toes point to the right side, the chest and the hips point to the right side. So think of your tailbone tucking under as you turn your chest open. And same as before, you can either keep holding here or trying to hold here, or that right arm can drape over the lower back and see if you can hook it around your left thigh for a half bind. Keep giving it a go if you're falling. Falling is a very, well, we all fall. You just have to get back up, give it another go. If you're still holding, very well done, breathe in. We're then going to step that foot back exactly where it came from. So all the way to the back of the mat. Lengthen out through both of your legs and then turn your feet back to face one direction so that you're back into your wide-legged fold. This time, hands to come behind your back, interlace into a fist. With the breath in, draw the fist towards the floor, the chest to the sky as you squeeze your shoulder blades. As you breathe out, once again, we're folding forwards and down, trying to keep growing long through the spine as we squeeze the shoulder blades, drawing the fist away from the body. The weight is ever so slightly forwards towards the toes, but we're still squeezing the muscles on the front of the thighs and rolling those sit bones high to the sky. Make sure our necks are nice and loose, so flop your head down, chin a little bit more towards the chest, and allow yourself to feel heavy, compressing the belly towards the thighs. Great, breathe in. And then breathing out, release your arms, let your left hand come down to the floor. Actually bring both down to begin with. Your inhale, find that halfway lift, so chest lengthens forwards, tabletop shape through the spine, option to have your blocks. Left hand this time stays down onto the floor. Inhale, right arm to the sky. Nice big twist through the torso, keeping those sit bones pressing backwards. Option to stay extended. It's a nice open version, or take that top arm, drape it over the lower back and see if you can hook out your left thigh. Use that left hand against the floor to help your twist, breathing in, breathing out. And then one more, breathing in. And breathing out, hand comes down to the mat, soft bend into the knees, hands come to the waist, and with an inhale, slowly draw yourself up to stand, not coming too quick, so your blood pressure comes with you. Right foot this time, turn it towards what will be the back of the mat for most of us. Front heel in line with the back arch, so we're being squished into one plane. Strong through your front thigh, and then arms float wide, palms towards the floor, keeping them nice and high alongside the shoulders. So our first motion, breathe in. See if you can tap that wall that's sort of out behind you. So you're thinking of going as far forwards as you can. And then don't allow your torso to change, it's then just the hands. Down towards your shin, the block, maybe the floor is there for you, and the left arm to go to the sky. This top left hip, roll it back. Keep your tailbone lengthening towards the mat and your gaze towards those top fingertips. Same as before, the hand can stay where it is, or you can take it over the lower back. Maybe finding that right thigh as you roll the shoulder away from you, turning the body to face that left side. Holding steady, breathing in, breathing out. Again, breathing in and breathing out. Great. And then gaze comes down to the foot. If you want to make it more challenging, leave your hand in the half bind or leave your hand in the sky. Otherwise, your left hand to rest onto your waist. Let yourself bend into your front leg, your standing leg. The block, if you're using it, would be into the right hand. Otherwise, you're reaching it towards the floor. And go a little bit out towards the right. Don't go straight in front of your foot. Give yourself a little bit more distance. So a little pop of the back foot for it to leave the floor. Turn your pelvis to face the left side. Follow with the chest, everything faces towards the left side of your mat. Option with the arms is either the sky, the waist, or wrapping it all the way around towards your back thigh. If the balance is there with you and you're feeling ambitious, maybe take your gaze up towards the sky. And keep allowing that leg to lift. So really use the strength in your left glutes to lift the leg. It actually helps your balance because it tips your body weight more forwards to give your hand a little bit more support to help hold this shape here. Breathing in, breathing out. Last one, that right leg is working, breathe in. And then as gracefully, as slowly as you can, place that left foot back where it came onto the mat into your triangle and turn those toes back to face forwards. So this time, let your toes point away from one another, and you're very welcome when we move into these shapes to readjust your feet. They don't have to stay where they are. It's a hip opener, so it's very, very different for everyone. So it's a little side lunge. We're going to think of our right sit bone sinking towards our right heel. You can lift onto the ball of the foot if you need to, and this left toes, we're going to turn towards the sky, so the knee and the toes point upwards. If the heel is down, great. Otherwise, if you're lifting onto the ball of the foot, you're probably going to want a narrower stance between your 2 feet. Your hands can either stay down to help you balance, or your right hand, you can sweep out to keep pushing this right knee behind you. So make sure your arm is on the inside of the thigh, and then the left arm is reaching to the ceiling. Big old stretch. So this inner thigh on both legs are really lengthening away from each other. This twist is very much optional. If you're feeling sort of at your edge in the straightened version, then just stay there for a few breaths. See if you can just find a little bit of calm in your body. Think of your chest turning towards that top hand, breathing in. And then breathing out, bring your hand back to the mat. And then we're going to shift into this shape onto the other side. You're welcome to get out of it and then shift yourself over. Maybe walk your hands over. Otherwise, if you're going for super challenging, without your hands, see if you can stay as low to the mat as you can. Shift your weight across. The right toes now turn towards the sky. The knee turns with it, and we're trying to sink the heel towards the mat. But again, sometimes our hips just aren't quite ready for that. Trying to keep as much of your weight into the little toe edge of your foot on this left side. And same again, staying here. Hands can be down to help alleviate some of the weight, or left hand on the inside of the knee, sweeps out, keep the knee pushing behind you. Inhale, right arm to the sky. If your inner thighs are still after a little more, you can point your toe rather than flex, and that's going to make the stretch more intense. So only for those of us that are feeling very chilled here, which is probably not many. Breathing in, breathing out. And then last one, breathing in. Now, hopefully, if you did the same sides as me, you should be at the top end of your mat. So bring your hand down to the floor, turn your body back to face forward, let all of your toes point with you, and then drop your back knee down. So our torso and hands want to be on the inside of this front thigh. So it's our left foot that's at the top for anyone that's got confused. Back knee is resting down. And then either staying onto your hands here, or maybe you've got a little bit more room in your hips and hamstrings now to lower one elbow or maybe 2. You can stay here or tucking those back toes. Press the heel away from you and lengthen out that back leg. Trying to keep length in your chest and your torso. So instead of looking towards your back foot and rounding, try looking a little forwards and thinking of your chest pulling forwards as well. Breathing in, pull, lengthen forwards. Breathing out, keep the body sinking down towards the floor. One more, breathing in. And then breathing out. If you're not on the hands, let yourself come up onto the hands. You're going to lift your hips high to the sky as you step your back foot in to meet your front foot. So your knees can stay bent here. You've come into a forward fold. We're trying to prioritize the belly and the thighs staying nice and close together. You can either stay sort of gravity assisted here, a little bit like a rag doll, or taking hold of the back of your ankles. And as you pull against your ankles, push your hips to the sky and really allow yourself to compress against your own legs. If you're going for the pull version, imagine you're pulling your feet up and off the mat rather than pulling as if you're going forwards. You want to think of pulling them upwards. Keep lengthening the crown of the head, either forwards if you're in a more horizontal position, or if you're folding deeply, think of lengthening downwards. Breathing in. And then breathing out, releasing. Soften through the knees. Your left foot is going to step back, so coming to find lizard on the other side. Your hands, again, inside of the thigh. The front knee stays squeezing in towards the shoulder. Staying here, option to drop the back knee, option to drop to the forearms,
Or perhaps if you're using a block or some sort of bricky thing, you can drop to the block instead as a nice middle ground. Breathe in, lengthen. Breathing out, soften. One more here, inhale. And then on the exhale, we're going to step the back foot in to meet the front foot, but keeping our hips a little bit lower this time. So step that foot in, let your hips stay nice and low. So it's almost like a little bit of a squat, a little bit of a fold. It's a nice sort of hybrid of the two. What we're trying to do is keep our torso and our thighs nicely squished together. We're going to come to try our shoulder pressure pose, a little arm balance here. So taking our hands behind our heels, I hope you can see quite well here. My hands have gone behind my heels. My fingertips are still pointing forwards. And as I lower my hands towards the mat, as I aim my heels of my hands to go down, I'm going to bend into my knees, so I'm squatting low. Then as the hands come towards the floor, the elbows stay bent, so it's like I'm sat onto the back of my arms. And then I'm going to look forwards, transfer the weight into the heels of the hands, and see if I can lift my feet off the floor as I squeeze hold of my arms. So my thighs and my calves are really clamping onto the arms, keeping my chest forwards to hold the balance here. Now, if you're struggling to find your feet to leave the floor, if you can have your hands resting a little higher onto, 2 blocks or some sort of stable height, that's going to give you extra height to be able to find lift of those feet. Give it a little couple of goes, finding that point of balance if you can, hooking your feet if you can. Otherwise, if you know firefly pose and you want to start reaching your feet out in front of you to straighten out into those hamstrings, then go ahead. Once you've given that a couple of goes, and do feel free to keep giving it a try, you can plonk your bum, or maybe fall your bum back onto the mat behind you. Taking your feet onto the mat in front of you and finding some height in your chest. I'm just talking slowly to give those that are still trying that balance a little go, because it doesn't come quickly, it doesn't come easily. Once we're here, the arms are going to reach forwards. Think of a rounded spine, chin to the chest, rolling your way down, all the way onto your back until your head and your shoulders find release. And then just curling your knees in towards your chest, giving yourself a tight little squeeze, maybe a soft little rock from left to right. And then placing your left foot back onto the mat. Your right hand is going to come to the inside of your thigh. If you have a strap and you're working with a strap, do feel free to hook the foot instead. Otherwise, our hand is going to hold onto our big toe or the outer of the foot if you are wearing socks. And then pressing that heel towards the sky, not being concerned about how straight the leg is, just be concerned with how you can feel it into the back of that right thigh, so right into your hamstring. The heel pushes high to the sky. The hand is flexing those toes back towards the chest, and this shoulder is sinking its way back against the mat. If you've worked your way to a straight leg and perhaps you're feeling that you've got a little bit more room, slide that left leg away from you, press the back of that thigh down towards the mat, and keep encouraging this top leg up and over. Just focusing on your breath, watching it go in and out of the lungs. Seeing if you can just find a little bit more softness and calm within the body as you breathe. Lovely, releasing that, bending the knee. Let the foot come back to the mat. And so the right leg wants to stay bent to begin with, even if you want to give yourself a point to start at, so a right leg stays bent. Left hand on the inner of the thigh comes to hold that left toe, or foot, or strap. And then pressing the heel towards the sky. Think of lengthening through the back of the leg,
sinking the back of the pelvis down towards the mat, and same with this left shoulder, sink it down towards the floor beneath you. Heel pushes high, toes pull down low, and maybe even choosing to close your eyes. Same option if you want to extend that right leg to make this stretch more intense, then do go ahead. Heavy through the right leg if it's straight. Strong with the left arm to keep drawing that leg up and over. Breathing in. And then breathing out. Let both knees hug in towards the body, nice and small, little ball. And from there, coming into happy baby. So widening your knees out towards your armpits, either holding on to the shins here and compressing the legs towards the outer torso, or taking the soles of the feet to face the sky, holding on to the inner part of your heels or toes and drawing down. Keeping your lower back down against the mat and aiming your knees out or beyond your armpits. Your toes move wide as well. And if you know the advanced version of Happy Baby, where your toes extend towards the floor alongside you, then do go ahead. My hamstrings are not feeling that today. And then releasing here, letting your feet come back onto the floor. Let your feet come together, and the knees to then fall wide away from each other into diamond-shaped legs. Your hands can either rest onto the inner thighs, they can rest alongside your body, or maybe taking them up above the head and holding opposite elbows to find a nice expanse across your chest and into your upper body as well. Maybe allowing your eyes to close here to allow your body to continue to soften. Feeling heavy through the limbs. Allowing the breath to slow and to shallow a little as it starts to return to a more normal pace and depth and rhythm. And then finally releasing your arms alongside you if they're not there already. Stepping one leg at a time out onto the mat. Let those legs feel nice and floppy. The arms to be nice and heavy. Letting your eyes close. Your body to find stillness as it just takes these last couple of moments to completely rest. Letting go of all tension. Keeping your attention lightly onto your breath to prevent your mind from wandering. And then take yourself a nice deep breath in to reawaken. Maybe reaching through the fingertips above the head, reaching through the toes, reawakening the body. And then gently drawing the knees towards the chest to give yourself a soft little squeeze. And when you're ready, softly finding your way back to a comfortable cross-legged seat. Sit yourself nice and tall. Feel that lightness in your chest above your hips. With your final breath in, the arms circle wide into the sky. With your final breath out, the hands lower towards the belly as the chin comes towards the chest. Namaste, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Hopefully everyone's live stream is working quite well. Do let me know if you have any technical issues that I might be able to help you with. Otherwise, I hope to see you on one of my live classes again soon. It's this time every Sunday. I'm also doing Monday evenings at 7:30 and a gentle restorative yoga flow at Thursdays at 6 o'clock. Thanks for joining in. Have a lovely day.